There have been many Angry Birds shows, but there's one I'd say is the most tragic. Now, what do I mean by tragic? No, I don't mean what happens in the show itself. There's no Angry Birds show, apart from maybe Stella, isn't really all that tragic. I mean what happened in the real world, with the show having a lot of potential but failing and falling flat due to Rovio being Rovio. Now, Angry Birds Toons, Piggy Tales, Angry Birds Stella, are all masterpieces. Angry Birds Toons had 3 amazing seasons. Angry Birds Stella had 2 pretty okay seasons. I'm not really the biggest Stella fan of that branch of the franchise, but the show was okay. Piggy Tales season 1 and 2 are pretty good. As for seasons 3 and 4, they're not as good as the first 2, but come on, you only think they're bad because of the movie designs. Honestly, they're just fine. And no season with the absolute banger of Pigs Can Fly is a bad season. Angry Birds Blues, for a show about the hatchlings, isn't terrible. Makerspace and Bubble Trouble are kind of the opposite of tragic, really, as they started out looking absolutely awful in terms of their art style, especially Makerspace Season 1. I bet you the person who took the $2 a month job at Rovio was the person who animated this. Bubble Trouble Season 1 didn't look awful, but not the best. Their second seasons, though, look really nice. Their actual shows are still shit in terms of what actually happens in them, but at least they look nice. Slingshot Stories looks kind of ugly, but it has its moments. No show with this genuinely hilarious joke can be bad. Well, season 3 looks like it's going to be okay because they're bringing back Corporal, Matilda, and Terrence, characters who deserve to be there, so that's pretty good. And then there's also Summer Madness, which I have nothing good to say about. Shit design, shit story, shit characterization. I know it's a hot take, but I don't care. Even as a very concept, it never had potential, so it's not really tragic. There is one show I didn't mention, and that is Angry Birds on the Run. I haven't seen the episodes of this show for a while, since they came out really, but I remember enjoying season 1 heavily. Granted, it came out in 2018, and during that period of my life, I wasn't really a massive fan of the franchise anymore. I'd kind of drifted away, but I occasionally checked in. But I watched the whole show back when it came out, and I thought it was pretty good. Season 2 came out in 2020, and I was back into the franchise at this point. Let's just say I didn't really like it. So today I'm going to rewatch both seasons and talk about my current thoughts on both of them and why I think it's very tragic. But first, let's go over a quick history lesson. So in 2012, Angry Birds collaborated with Spanish pizza company Telepizza. There was a web game, but also, if you bought a certain amount of pizza, you'd get an exclusive plush made by TCC Global of either Red, the Blues, Chuck, Bomb, Matilda, Hal, King Pig, or Corporal Pig. These plushies would later be used in promotional events in Europe, such as for Belo for Tesco. Bubbles and Stella would later be added to the line as well. Later, these plushies would be used in Angry Birds on the Run, but only Red, Chuck, Bomb, Matilda, Stella, King Pig, and Corporal Pig. But yeah, what makes Angry Birds on the Run so unique is that it's the only official Angry Birds show to use plushies and to be in fully live action, which is pretty cool. It makes the style look more unique compared to the other shows. Now let's get on to actually talking about Season 1. So On the Run Season 1 can just be described as a good time. The first episode is about the birds falling out of a girl's phone, and they're in the new world. Red is trying to cross the street to get the bomb. The first 4 episodes are just the birds fucking about in the real world, until episode 4, where they find out they came from the game, and the eggs are in peril, and must get back to the phone. From there on, there is an overarching story about the birds trying to get to the girl. There is some filler, but they almost always make sure to include a line that mentions about trying to get to the girl, or to the phone, or to the school, or something to make it feel less filler and more connected to the overarching story. The only episode I'd truly say is filler is the beach one, as that added nothing to their journey, and the phone, the girl, school, none of that are mentioned at all. There is a looming threat of a mysterious figure who's trying to capture the birds. They wind up in a claw machine where Bomb falls in love with a flamingo plush. Then the mysterious figure captures them from the machine and takes them home. They're taken into a room of a person who's just trying to be me for real. Then it turns out the mysterious figure was the mum of the girl. She saw the birds fall out the phone, and when she dropped her daughter off, went to go on the hunt to retrieve them, as Rovio announced that the characters in the game would be replaced by clones, as apparently the game is no fun without them. By the way, the game they're talking about is Angry Birds 2. Red and Bomb are great in that game, but who would care if Chuck mysteriously went missing? I wouldn't. Anyway, it is revealed that King Pig and 2 corporals have been following the birds this entire time, and steal the phone and dash away. The birds and the mum and the daughter chase after them, and the phone ends up falling into the ocean. Then an iPad is revealed with the game on. The characters rush to it, and then it says to be continued. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Not as much as I did back then, but it was still funny. I especially like when they just randomly burst into song. Particularly the playground one. In that episode, Red just goes mad and starts playing a playground. I don't know why, but he just does. Red also has my favorite line in the show.
Nothing makes sense. Usually I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I see some pigs over there, and I fire myself at them from a big catapult, and sometimes it's in space.
I think this is a funny line because it just references another Angry Birds game, Angry Birds Space, and all Red knows to do is just kill the first pig he sees. It's quite funny. But it also has my worst line.
Hold on a minute, you mean you were following me? I thought I was following you!
The reason I hate this line is because Red would never just blindly follow Chuck. If he had a plan all planned out, then yeah, he would, but he clearly didn't, and this isn't even really a funny line anyway. Sure, the playground thing is kinda out of character for Red too, but at least that was funny and can be rooted into Red's traumatic past of never having a childhood. I doubt that's what the writers were going for with this playground thing, but hey, it's an interpretation you could have. The Red following Chuck line didn't ruin the show for me or anything, it's just one line, nothing too bad. My worst episode is probably the fashion show one. It's not filler as the ending shows them ending up in the arcade, which is important, but mostly it's just the birds wearing clothes with an unfunny song playing. Not a fan of the episode. Overall, season was good. Great use of TC plushies, great jokes, great story, 7 out of 10. Now let's move on to season 2 and see if my opinions have changed. Okay, my opinions have changed, but I don't like the season still. But I have found at least some stuff in it I kind of like. Unlike the first time where I literally like none of it. The premiere episode was a non-canon Love Island special. Come on. Are there any Angry Birds fans who are fans of Love Island? I don't even think the target audience is matched because Angry Birds' target audience is like 8-year-olds and Love Island is for adults. Yeah, I don't even think there's a single Angry Birds fan who is a fan of Love Island, really. If you like Angry Birds and Love Island, tell me in the comments below, but I doubt you do. I've never watched Love Island, why would I? Seems boring and doesn't have any talking birds. I don't think it's wrong for a kid show to reference adult media like this if it's done well, but it's just not done well here. It's just done terribly, not funny, and it looks awful. Who would have wanted this? Season 2 used green screens a lot, instead of actually shooting in real locations. We'll talk more about that later, but keep that in mind. And I know the season came out in 2020, but I didn't see how the big thing of that year could have affected shooting for the show. Surely wouldn't the shooting have been done in like 2019, especially if it came out in May 2020? All the scenes would have been filmed before the thing, right? Surely. But yeah, this episode was the non-canon special. Episode 1 is shit too, though. It's just Red wondering what happened, and the writers are just that lazy, Red doesn't even know. So season 1 ended on a cliffhanger, and season 2 doesn't follow it up. Red then meets Matilda, and they stay together. Then Bomb winds up on the road he was on in season 1, episode 1, but this time with Stella. Bomb was actually there, but Stella was green screened, and it looks terrible. Also, I love the fact that Stella's theme plays when she first appears, though. That's a nice touch.
Right on time. Hold on. What?
Whoa.
Chuck is also seen with the pigs. All the characters are confused on where they are and why they're there. The show doesn't even explain how Stella and Matilda got out of the phone and how the characters wind up where they are. The girl and her mum, and really no humans, are seen outside of brief flashbacks throughout the entirety of season 2. From this point, episodes usually have either one of 3 things going on. Either Red and Matilda are in the woods doing some shit, Stella and Bomb are doing some cringe, and Chuck is with the pigs. I like the Red and Matilda scenes as most of them are quite funny, at least compared to the Bomb and Stella stuff. I like the joke with the squirrel where Matilda thinks she's talking to the squirrel, but it's just Red trolling her. As I've mentioned previously, Bomb and Stella scenes are just awful. They are just here to waste time and they don't do anything meaningful. One of their scenes even has a Shutterstock watermark in it, so that shows how much they didn't care about them. And to top off the laziness of the season, the characters all just meet in one episode when the narrator is summing things up. They don't even build up to it, it's just, oh shit, we only have 5 episodes left, maybe we should move on the story a bit. Honestly, I feel like they were promised 22 episodes, as that's how much season 1 had. And when they put the season into filming, they were told there was only 15, so they had to stick with what they had already and just move the story on quickly. Well, there was also 3 specials. The Love Island one, which we've already talked about. But there was also a Halloween one, which was cool. It was like a choose-your-own ending thing, I liked it. And a Christmas episode, which was just the characters putting on a play. Season 2 ended with a cliffhanger, and there hasn't been any word of a 3rd season. But honestly, if there was, I bet that cliffhanger wasn't going to be fulfilled, as season 1's wasn't. The cliffhanger, by the way, was the clone birds that Rovio used to replace the normal birds got out of the phone and are going to attack the normal birds, I guess. Who knows? I guess we're never going to find out. I wouldn't be surprised if it did just happen off screen in a season 3 and the character was started at a random new point and probably added Bubbles and Hal in for marketing purposes who would probably do nothing, just like Stella and Matilda did nothing. And that's why I think it's the most tragic Angry Birds show. It was definitely the most unique official Angry Birds show. It was funny, how it looked was unique, and everything about it was just really good. And season 2 just ruined everything with ugly visuals, unfunny jokes, too much filler, and a really confusing story that didn't build off season 1's whatsoever. That's such a shame. Tell me what your thoughts on season 1 and 2 were. Subscribe and like the video. Goodbye.